Are we recording?
Are we going?
Hey.
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 Hey. Hey. Hey. Hey. Hey. Hey. Hey. Hey. We just saw a
Movie.
Move.
Yeah.
Hey. Down. And scene.
Hey guys, we just saw a movie.
We did. We saw a movie, and then Friday we saw a movie.
Yes. Valentine's.
Ooh. Romantic. What did we do on a romantic Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day, we went to the mall. We went to
A nice mall, might I say
mall.
The Westfield Mall is not really a mall. It's like
Westfield's nice.
it's like a fancy person's mall.
Yeah.
It's better than the Beverly Center.
Yes,
It's better
definitely.
than-
Way better than Beverly Center.
It's probably the
It's one of
best
these-
mall in the LA area.
Well, we haven't been to all of them, but I do like it.
Yeah.
Is it better than the Grove? It is,
yeah,
huh?
because the Grove is tiny.
The Grove is pretty small, but it's got its little charm. It's got its magic.
I guess so. The Grove is like California Adventure, and then Westfield. What was it called? Century City.
Westfield Century City.
I always call it just Westfield. It's like, hey, can you hand me a Kleenex or a Coke?
Right.
And then it's like,
There's
which
lots
one do
of
you
Westfield
want?
malls.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
But the Century City one is fancy and big, and there's two levels. Well, there's more than two levels technically, but there's a lot of levels to this thing. And but the Grove is like you walk a little bit, and then next thing you know, you're against like a fake looking wall, and then you make a turn, and then you're like, oh, that's it.
Where's the fake wall?
Well, it just looks fake. Like the walls, it just, like I'm saying, it looks like California Adventure. It's just kind of like, hey, look, this is downtown USA. And it's like, I'm not really a fan of that type of stuff.
So the Grove is aware that it's a tourist thing.
Yeah.
People go there to look at the little fountain,
Right.
hang out.
And there's always too many people there. They're just standing around looking dumb.
Why are they going to look dumb?
Because
Why?
there's a walkway
Why are
and
you being
everybody's
hateful?
standing. I'm not being hateful. I'm being truthful. Let's speak truth to power.
They walk in and they are overcome.
They're over.
with-
So get to the right or the left while you're overcome with whatever. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I should probably get out of people's way.
We're not hating on the Grove. We like the Grove. We used to spend a lot of time at the Grove when we had Movie Pass, RIP.
Yeah, RIP Movie Pass. And then Grove, if you want to come on the podcast anytime.
Yeah, we'll have
Yeah, so that's what we did. We went to the mall.
So we went to Westfield Century City and we had dinner. We had some yummy chicken and
That's what it was called,
yeah,
Yummy
it's
Chicken.
called yummy chicken. That's what I'm gonna open a restaurant someday. It's just gonna be yummy chicken.
Well, somebody's going to steal it now.
Don't
Maybe
do it,
that
people.
person,
I'll come
maybe
after
that
you.
person that in Italy or Korea listened to our podcast.
Oh, guess what else I saw? We have Berlin
Berlin, eh?
and
I wonder who that is.
somebody else over there.
Somebody else over there?
I can't remember where. Somewhere near Berlin.
We're popping in Europe
Yeah.
by one
Like
person
4.
per country.
Yeah. We have like 4 European listeners now.
That's right.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Around the world.
That works.
Cool. So what movie did we see?
We saw Downhill.
Downhill.
And this is a twofer, guys. And we saw Josh was practicing how to say it.
I forgot how to say it.
I think it's just Force Majeure.
Majeure. Force Majeure. I think that's what
He's trying
Google
to sound like
Translate.
Google Translate.
Yeah.
Well
It's,
done. Okay.
It was more like I'll get up.
No. That's awful.
That's Google Translate from 1984.
Yeah.
They're like, I think it's saying Force Majeure.
Right.
Yeah, we watched that just now. Because what we wanted to do was compare Downhill to Force Majeure.
Should we say who we are at the beginning of the podcast?
We
didn't.
you already know who it is.
Y'all know who we are.
I'm Josh.
Maybe. This is Michelle.
We're common law husband and wife. By common law, I mean by common law.
Legally bound.
Are we?
To
Yeah.
one another.
If you're married in yeah, it's the United States. If you're married in Texas, then yeah, you're married. That's a dumb question. I don't know. I just had this weird thought, like, Are we married in
Do
California?
marriage certificates cross state lines?
I'm like, can she
Have I
propose
been?
to me now?
Right. Have I been free all these years?
Yeah. I'm like, you got to know what your options are.
All right. Well, we are married
That's right.
in Texas and California.
Just those two states, like
Yep.
lawyers.
Yeah, exactly.
We're only.
What if you did
I only
have to like
practice in-
recertify or whatever if
Let's
you
do it.
moved?
I'm certified married to you.
Yeah, like whatever that is.
Marriage
That'd be
certification.
interesting. Yeah.
You have to take a test, like the Newlywed Game.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. So yeah, we just watched these movies, and we wanted to compare the two of them, which was kind of a sad comparison in my head, at least.
Interesting. So, but if you didn't know, Downhill is a new movie. It is the adaptation of Force Majeure, which came out in, I think it was 2014.
Yes.
And it is a Swedish film. It was very long and subtitled, which was fine.
Back and forth subtitle.
Mostly subtitled.
Yeah.
There was some English
80%.
speaking. I think that was like the common language when they were talking to somebody
Right.
else that didn't speak their
It was the
language. English
Rubicon?
was like
Yeah.
the common language, I guess.
Yeah. So
Anyhow.
yeah, there's that movie. And we watched that movie previously on Netflix or somewhere, and we somehow came across it. And we saw the synopsis, and we were like, I guess we'll watch this. I don't know.
I think we were just having a lazy day watching Netflix, and we were like, hey, okay, an avalanche comes and this guy runs away. That sounds funny,
Yeah.
or at least interesting. It was not funny at all. The original version, there's a little description. It says comedic. What did it say? Like darkly
It says
comedic.
comedic?
It did. It used the word funny or comedy.
European funny.
I guess. I don't know.
Because they were like kind of funny moments. But so, yeah, if you don't know, both movies, there's a family that goes to a ski lodge to go on vacation. And at some point, very early on, actually, in the movie, both movies, a controlled avalanche happens, but it seems to be coming rapidly and really close to this outside diner that they're at, or restaurant. And so not only does the couple there freak out, but everyone on the patio
Everyone on the patio starts
freaks
flipping
out. But everyone's probably been in the situation where you're like, that car's coming this way. You're like, that car's still coming this way. Is he going to slow down? You're like, oh crap, we need to run, like type situation. And so that happens. And in each one of them, the husband runs away while the wife stays and shelters the kids.
Right.
In classic, what is that? Like house cleaning commercial fashion. It's like, oh, the husband's a dummy.
Oh.
And the wife is the one that holds the family together.
Right.
So yeah, the rest of the movie is so it
wasn't an avalanche. I mean, it was an avalanche, but it
was
didn't
controlled,
really
yeah.
hit the
No.
patio. It was just
It
like
was
the
like a dust
avalanche
up.
dust
Yeah.
that came and just scattered some snow all over the table. But it did look very
It was
scary.
a good amount of snow though.
Yeah, it looked very scary. But they weren't like, nobody was buried in.
No.
The
No one
avalanche.
was hurt. Only psychologically and emotionally.
Right.
You know, some people's underwear might be hurt. It might be a little yellow.
Well, that was one of the first things I said was like, that little boy definitely peed himself.
Oh yeah, if I was a kid. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I never threw up on a roller coaster, and I never peed myself. So-
Never?
Well, I'm saying like I did pee the bed twice at age 12. But
Okay, I
that's
mean like
another
being
story.
frightened.
No,
Because that seems to be a very big thing that happens on TV. I don't think I have either.
you've
Done
never
that?
been frightened.
No, I've never been pee frightened.
You've almost been tickle peed,
Maybe.
because you always tell me, "Don't stop, I'm gonna pee."
Yes, well, there's that. But I don't.
You don't, because I
Okay,
stopped. That because
I
I
have not-
stop.
Maybe.
Now let's test this.
No.
After the podcast, we'll give you
We're
the
not
pens,
doing that.
and then we'll just tickle you
No.
to see if you pee.
I veto this activity.
That
So
sounds interesting.
the movie goes. So then the whole rest of the movie is kind of like dealing with the actions of the husband.
Right.
So
How the
that's
family deals with it.
right.
Yeah. And so that is the fastest synopsis we've ever done on
Yeah,
this program.
that's the whole movie.
That's the whole movie. It's almost like most plays are. Like the
Yeah.
plays I've seen where you're kind of like, this could be summed up in 45 minutes or maybe 30. But I guess if you
Yeah.
want to do 2 hours, that's cool.
Yeah.
But were the movies the same length?
No, they were not. So
Oh,
downhill.
yeah.
Downhill was like an hour and a half.
Right.
Like maybe like 138. And Force Majeure was 2 hours even.
Okay.
So they had a lot more
So
going on.
I get the idea of cutting it down, but I'll start off by saying I still like Force Majeure better, even though it was 35 minutes longer.
Well, yeah, a good movie's a good movie.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say, like, even though I would
Time
just,
did not factor.
even though I just like poo-pooed on the idea of a movie being long and only having like 3 main points, it's still, Force Majeure was a way better movie. Not way better, but it just had more depth.
It did have more depth, yeah.
Downhill was no, I don't know Will Ferrell or anything, but no diss to Will Ferrell or anything, but it was just kind of like the comedicness was fine, but in Force Majeure there's the drama part of it and the sadness. Like,
Okay, so here's the thing. So Downhill took the same events and then exaggerated reactions
right.
to make it funny. I'm
Right.
not going to say that Downhill was like a funny movie, because definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not like a comedy, but it would be more of a dramedy,
Yeah.
I guess.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, even though there were definitely like moments that people were laughing, but then I felt like, why are people laughing? This is just kind of sad. Like, I know it's Will Ferrell, so people are more prone to laugh.
Right.
But it felt like not the right moments to laugh.
I probably laughed in some not right moments just because I like to laugh out of like ridiculousness or sometimes sadness, but just like shock of like decision making.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Like those kind of like.
But maybe those people were laughing that way.
Maybe, but it just sounded like, I guess so. I didn't meet everyone.
Maybe you should marry them and be with them for 20 years, and then you'll know.
Escalated quickly.
Hey, that's what Danny Bonaducci did. They got married in a day. I don't know where that reference came from, but it's there.
Okay.
But I can't remember where my car keys are sometimes, so whatever.
They're on the desk.
Thanks. So, like, what were some things that were similar about the both of them?
So many things. That's what surprised me, actually. When we were just now watching, we literally just stopped watching Force Majeure. I was surprised at how, I don't want to say shot for shot, but almost shot for shot.
Yeah.
Like the big scenes were, like the major things, completely, like even the dialogue was
they lifted dialogue
the
too.
same. So
dialogue.
What is that?
Come on. Whatever.
Dialogue.
You watched that show with me.
I just don't remember everything.
You should.
What was that from?
Chappelle Show. There's only 5 good rappers. Dylan, and Dylan. All right, 20-year-old references. So yeah, even the B-roll was very much the same.
So even the very beginning, it starts off where they're doing a photo shoot on the mountain.
Did Downhill
movies
start with a photo? I thought they did a couple of things and then they did the photo shoot. But either way, it was relatively in the beginning.
Yeah, it was in the beginning. But they had it was like key markers throughout the movie were the same. So there's like the photo shoot was the same.
I will say out of the photo shoot, the Downhill one was funnier because of the language barrier. It's not like they were both. They filmed it in France, Force Majeure, but I think if I remember correctly, but there wasn't that much of a barrier, and the guy wasn't being like the annoying photographer guy.
The photographer was actually speaking English.
But the one in Downhill, he was super.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, guys, do this. Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And the family was not into it at all.
No.
In Downhill. In Force Majeure, they were just like, okay,
They
cool,
just
whatever.
They did it, yeah.
But yeah, they were already. I think the family was already like in a bad mood, more of a bad mood in Downhill than they were in.
Well, the
Force
kids were
Majeure.
older for one.
Yeah.
They were 2 boys, and they were kind of just being boys,
Right.
like not cooperating. They were fighting with each other the whole time.
Oh yeah.
So it was like they're just the kind of preteen boys.
That's
And
right.
then in Force Majeure, they were younger kids, so they were more
One was a boy, one was a girl.
right, and they were younger, and they're more.
So I don't think we're going to be able to
Adaptable,
stay
I
on the
guess.
similar, different things. So we'll just go back and forth.
Right.
One thing that I did notice with Force Majeure was at least the dad almost acted like he didn't have a daughter. He was not. He was like
Oh, yeah.
dealing with the boy,
Yeah.
and everything was. He was like, "Hey, I don't remember the kid's name. Timmy, come on, like let's go." Blah blah blah. And the daughter was just like there.
Yeah.
It's almost like the daughter from Family Matters that disappeared. And it was just kind of like, yeah, I have a daughter, but whatever.
That's true. That daughter barely did anything.
Yeah.
It was mostly about the little boy because he kept crying.
Yeah.
Because he was sad.
What a softy.
Yeah. I was just thinking through the similarities and the differences. So they say they're going off on this ski trip. So the whole thing was like, Dad's been really busy at work. So now we're doing this family trip to spend time together.
Some time together,
Some time together. And in both movies, the dad is preoccupied with the phone. Right? So we see both husbands checking the phones, and then both wives are like, "What are you doing? Look at your phone."
Wait,
Put
what'd
that
you
away.
say? I was on my phone.
So, but I will say in Downhill, it was a much bigger part of the storyline.
Right.
Because he was kind of constantly on his phone. And then there was an added layer to that because he was conversing with coworkers and looking at pictures and Instagram and all that of his coworker who has a younger girlfriend, and they're kind of traveling the world and having this big, great, fun adventure. And so Will Ferrell's character in Downhill was more like, he kind of had this longing attitude of like, wish I could go be free and live this amazing adventurous life, but I'm here with my kids and my family, and kind of just like this this longing
Always
for something,
ruining everything, kids and family.
this longing for something different.
Right.
And that theme wasn't really in the original movie, but I thought that was an interesting added layer, I guess.
Yeah. And also like the other thing they added in Downhill was that his dad had recently died. And so
Well, that was another reason
dealing
for the
with
trip.
that. Yeah, he was dealing with that situation. So yeah, I think that was interesting. That I think the movie's 6-7 years older, so there's definitely more conversation about being on your phone.
All right, people are way more obsessed
Right.
with their phone now.
Because when we just rewatched that, I asked you, was he on his phone in the original movie? And you were like, yeah. And then we watched it, and I thought, well, that's weird for 2014, but that might have been one of the first few movies that was kind of like, hey, this is a problem that's starting to happen.
And it was really only that in Force Majeure, it was that work was calling. It was more about him answering work than about being on his phone.
Right, just
and about,
being on his phone.
Yeah,
that's true.
and being distracted.
I think the funny thing about both of those movies, because the kids in the Force Majeure are on tablets too, right?
Yeah, they asked for screen time, which I don't think was a buzzword in 2014. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe not.
I mean, we don't have kids, we don't know, but.
But I think the interesting thing about it was that both fathers were breeding screen zombies. But way more in Downhill.
Yeah.
Where the kids were just like, nah, where's my iPad?
Right. They were like, can we just
go
have
home?
screen time?
Yeah. Can we just have screen time?
Yeah.
So yeah, but that was definitely a similarity / difference on that. I think, the other thing. So yeah, they both kind of had moments with when the dads were being confronted about the issue of them running away from their family, they both went to their friends to try to get like understanding and solace from them. And they both went out and like tried to party, but it just didn't work out because they realized that they were total jerks and didn't want to own up to it.
Well, one was interesting because in Downhill, he was hanging out with his friend and they actually sought out the party, right?
Right.
And so they had like different ways of doing this. And then in Force Majeure, he just kind of mistakenly happened upon this.
He got chased by some frat bros.
Right. Some frat bros were
Swiss frat
running,
bros.
and again, he ran.
Right.
Right. And so he ends up running with these frat bros into, I have no idea where they were, but some sort of weird party. And then he went back. And
then he ran again.
Yeah.
He ran away from them.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing, which we were talking with some friends about the other day, which has become more of a topic of discussion, is how he gaslighted his wife. She tried to, in both movies,
He tried to gaslight his wife. She was not having it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He was trying to light it, and he realized
Right.
it was raining outside.
In both
and
movies,
it would not.
they
The
were
gas
like,
would not light.
no.
But I think, that it's pretty interesting. I don't know what I would do in that type of situation, but I think I for sure wouldn't try to tell you that that didn't happen, or, well, we wouldn't have gotten to a situation, I don't feel like, where we would go out with friends, where you would have to confront me in front of our friends about the
Right.
situation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so let's explain real quick. So he ran away from the table. The wife is like, what the heck, man? And so she's kind of processing, like, what just happened? Why would he abandon his family? What is going on? The kids are like, Dad just ran away. And then it's all nuts, right? And so she's putting on a brave face. She's trying to process. And then she's like, why did you do that? He's like, what are you talking about? I don't remember it that way. That's not how I see how it happened. And she's like, that's not a debatable fact. Like, you ran away. And he's like, no, I didn't. So she's like, okay, whatever. So then they're at dinner. And she brings it up in front of other people. And he's
Right.
like, what are you talking about? That's so silly. And then you can't run in snow boots. And then she's like, why are you lying? What is this?
Right.
And so then it's getting even deeper. Then there's another kind of dinner party that they have. And these are good friends. The first one was kind of like people they just met. These are their good friends now in their hotel room with them coming to say hi.
And this is Force Majeure.
In both movies, she brings it up again.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
so in the hotel room is where they really have it out.
Right.
And she's been drinking wine and she's like, we're doing this now. And so
I think it would happen if she drank wine or not.
well, yeah. So, but she pushes really hard and she's like, look, you did this, da, da, da. And he is like doubling down on
Right.
that is not how I remember it happening, blah, blah, blah. And you can tell he's just really ashamed and doesn't want to admit it. And so in Downhill, eventually he breaks down and says, I was running to get help. And they're like, okay, you're full of crap, man.
I wouldn't even call that breaking down. I would call that finding another excuse.
That was his concession was,
I guess.
okay, fine, I ran, but I was going to get help.
To me, that's almost like saying we lost the Civil War, but by saying that, you just say, the South shall rise again. It's like, you didn't really apologize.
Right. So he that was as much as he could muster to owning it.
Colonel Mustard?
Right. And so, but then in Force Majeure, he never actually says it. She
No.
even has video, and all he
That's
says
the
is,
funny part.
he says, I can agree that it appears that I am running. But he
So-
doesn't just outright say, yes, I did.
This is the funny thing about both of these movies is that they, I feel like the wives are the constituents, and that the husbands are the senators that are coming back to have to answer for the way they voted for the year. And it's like, you went for like subsidies for all these corporations, and then you like voted to take away our drinking water and this and that. And it's like, well, I don't see it that way. I see it as a way for Americans to rebuild, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what are you talking about right now? Like, you totally railroaded us.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's just weird that that would happen. And I think the thing that I got out of watching Force Majeure, which, like I was saying, is a little bit more dramatic, and I think watching it a second time and then watching Downhill made me realize that the issues that they're having didn't start at the park, at the ski resort.
Right.
I think the first time I watched the movie and when I watched Downhill, I just was kind of like, oh, this avalanche caused these results. And it's like, no, the avalanche was the straw that broke the camel's back, essentially. There were issues going on before this.
Right.
Because I'm like, who would try to gaslight their own wife about them running away from their family in ski boots during a perceived avalanche?
Right.
Like, it would just be so easy to be like, oh my goodness, that was crazy. I'm sorry. I just reacted really fast and I ran away. Like,
Right,
I'm
right.
sorry I did that. And then just move on. But obviously there was stuff that's going on before that and issues
So in that,
before that.
do we think it was the act of him running away, or more so the act of him denying
I think,
and not owning up to what he did?
yeah, people can make mistakes, but when people don't want to own up to mistakes they've made,
It kind of just makes the mistake you made even worse.
Right.
Right.
And it's not even a perception of a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that you just shouldn't do. You know, you should. And the thing is like I tell you, like, if something was to go on, I would be like, we need to go. And I would try to do it sooner than later. And if I was trying to run, I would be like, get up and let's go. If I didn't grab you, you know.
Yeah.
But he didn't say anything to anybody. He just ran off.
Here's the thing too, is I was like, why didn't they run too? Like,
Right.
But then I realized in both scenes, they were kind of caught like on the side of the table where they couldn't really get out before
and the
things
kids
happened.
Yeah.
And he was on the outside of the table, sort of.
I've pulled myself out of picnic chairs or picnic tables pretty quickly. So, you know, but everyone reacts differently. I think that's the thing is, you know, you're thinking like, oh no, what are we going to do?
Right.
And not like, I know what we're going to do. I'm going to rip my legs straight out of this picnic table really fast, grab these kids and run, you know, but.
Yeah, I was picturing us at those tables. And I think watching that snow come down, we would have like already been like, we would have been inside watching from the windows.
Right. I feel like we've had situations like that where I'm like, either we both are, I'm like, yo, get up. And you're like, what? And I'm like, get up. We need to go. And then we just slowly, you know me, I slowly walk. Somebody like two people start raising their voice in a restaurant or whatever. I'm like, turn around to see, is it a potential threat? And then if it's something weird or wherever we are, you know, I get up and I just walk away slowly, assessing the situation. So I know if I need to run,
right,
it's run time. And I'm
You're
like,
ready to go.
We got to run,
right.
you know. But yeah, sitting there and watching an avalanche come is not really something I'm into.
I don't think you would leave me.
I don't think I would
unless
either.
I didn't move fast enough.
That's you know that already. You know that already. I'm like, look.
He says, if I tell you to go, you go.
Yeah, like when on the.
If I don't move, that's my own fault.
Yeah, like I'll let it slide on the subway when we're in New York, but I'm like, if the subway is an avalanche, I'm like, yo, you know, we need to go.
I know that you'll reach for me.
Yeah,
you will try to. You'll grab my hand.
I'll be like Rose. I'll be like, I'll never let go, and then just like push you off after you've decided not to get on top of the the piece of floating wood.
Yeah. But I will say about that scene. So it was very dramatic in both movies. More so in Force Majeure, obviously. But I did love that scene in Downhill with, first of all, casting. I love Julia Louis-Dreyfus in this movie. Will Ferrell.
She was
perfect.
I feel like she did the wife better than the original wife. At least from my point of view, like the anger that she had and the way that she did that.
Yeah.
Like that lady was way too.
Well, they were different tones.
Yeah, it was a different movie. It was, you know, it was an American movie, a Swedish movie. I don't know culturally how Swedish people are.
Right.
So I'm just kind of like, man, you know, she kind of let a lot of stuff slide. And it was just because she was very nice for a long time. Like the avalanche happened. They didn't say nothing about it. She was nice about it. She didn't bring it up. And then he brought it up.
She was processing and trying to be strong for the kids and like do all that.
I guess.
But so in this scene though, I loved what's his face? Tall guy.
Face?
Tall.
Oh, Zach.
We don't remember his name.
From Silicon Valley. Yeah. The Office.
Yeah. So I love
who we saw one time at your birthday dinner in 2013.
We did. He sat next to us.
He did. And I tried not to be like, oh, you're the dude from The Office. Right. I just said, I live in Hollywood now, and I'm not fazed by anything.
We're totally used to it. Celebrities are just like us.
We've been here less than a year, and we're jaded.
They also eat ravioli.
That's right.
In tiny.
I think that was good ravioli.
I love that place.
I forgot the name of it.
Osteria something.
Yeah, there you go. They're our sponsor.
Osteria, if you would like to sponsor Osteria, we don't remember the rest of your name. If you would like to sponsor our podcast, we will gladly take payment in ravioli.
But no ricotta in mine.
Okay, well, I love that scene. I loved his character. I loved how he portrayed that, and I even saw references that he took from the original character. Yeah. Even though his was way more comedic, I could see the references once we just watched the original. But he's funny. He's got little subtle things, and his girlfriend, and they were kind of kooky, and but Will Ferrell's just the whole Julia Louis-Dreyfus going nuts on him and laughing and all this bonkersness. I thought it was a great scene. And his
Yeah, because he was trying to like make
defense of
excuses, and she was
himself.
just like laughing. She's like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, this is not what happened. What are you talking about?" Oh yeah. The funny difference between the two of them was, so in Force Majeure, it was just the two couples, and I feel like, well, actually, both Zach's character in Downhill and then the redheaded dude in Force Majeure were both trying, for some reason, to
He was trying to defend his
trying
friend.
to defend his
he
friend.
was looking for some
Don't-
ounce of goodness
guys,
in his
hold
friend.
on, guys. I'm talking to guys here, male guys, or however you identify yourself. Do not stick up for your friend in a fight with his wife. You will end up, or a significant other, you will end up in a fight with your significant other. It's a
Which
no-no.
happened in Force Majeure.
Which happened almost in both of them.
Yeah, but it didn't really go
not
there
so much
Downhill.
in Downhill, but definitely in Force Majeure. And then it became an issue about him being a good father and husband, or provider for his kids, because she's like, "Oh, you're at the slopes with a 20-year-old girl," which was the girl he was talking to, his significant other. He's like, "Well, your wife is raising the kids, like, in another country." And he's like, "How does that make you a good father or something?" And that was
They tripped down this whole hypothetical
Yeah, this
rabbit hole
yeah.
that was just
I was
unnecessary.
Just like, oof.
Just stay out of it.
Yeah. Just sit there and go like, "Wow, this is a really good brie. I really thank you.
Right.
This wine's good." Because yeah.
If you want to get involved later.
Right. Yeah. I don't think
If you have advice for your buddy, that's when you do it. You don't join in
right.
front of the wife defending the idiot
Yeah.
who was lying.
It was very obvious what should have been said, which was like, "Man, just tell your wife you're sorry."
Yes. That's all he
That's
should have
all
said,
you-
if anything.
Right. Yeah, I've definitely been in those situations where I knew the answer and I was like, "Just shut up. Don't say anything, because they both might turn on you."
Yep.
And then you look like the bad guy. But in Downhill, I thought the funnier thing was that, so in Force Majeure, the kids are crying in the other room while they hear them arguing, which is more dramatic and sad, obviously. But in Downhill, she brings the kids in. She's like,
Oh, gosh, that was so awful.
Oh, so you're right, huh? Oh, let's ask the kids what happened."
What did Daddy do? Did Daddy run away? No, she didn't even say that. She just said, "What did Daddy do when the avalanche came?"
Oh, right. And then they just say, "He ran
He
away."
ran away. Ugh, heartbreak, right? Have
Hey,
your little kids look
From
at
the
you.
mouth of babes.
He ran away.
That's right.
And then his excuse was he ran away to get help, which doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
at all.
Well, so pretty much you're saying is like, "I'm going to let you," which was said in Force Majeure. I think the friend said that. He's like, if
He said
he was to
maybe.
survive,
He said you were thinking you would survive and come back and dig them out, right? Right? That's what you were thinking?
right, your dead family, when you could have just said, "Let's run."
Let's go. I said this was the only thing you can say to justify what you did, is that I thought you were right behind me. That's
Yeah,
the only
I
thing.
guess.
That's still not good,
Right.
but that is the only acceptable thing to say. Or really, I mean, honestly, just own up to what you did.
Right.
You're
That
like,
would be
I'm
the
a jerk.
easiest thing.
I ran.
Wow,
I took
I'm
my stuff.
sorry.
Yeah.
Do
But,
you want to go get a Frankfurter?
right. But if you're attempting to come up with some sort of explanation, I'm sorry. I thought you were right behind me.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Only if that's your real feelings.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Lying is a slippery slope.
Yeah, but this movie, that's what we're saying. If you're gonna lie, make it a good one.
What you're saying, that's the
That's
moral
the good
of the
lie.
movie?
No, I'm saying that's the good lie. I'm just
The good lie. All right. So you're telling me you're going to lie to me next time. See, this movie's starting more fights.
exactly.
I think the one cool thing they did they did a couple cool things, but the other cool thing they did in Downhill was they had that, I don't even know what she was. That lady who worked at the hotel, was she like, she was standing at the concierge table or something like that.
Yeah, maybe she was like the concierge.
Or like the fun, like, "Hey, these are the cool things to do."
Activity
or,
director or
yeah,
something.
she was like the cruise director type person.
Yeah.
But she, yeah,
You
she
know
was
what's
kind of
funny is
just
we did
the
just-
ladies' man version,
Oh.
women's ladies of man.
Mm-hmm.
She was like the ladies' man, but the woman version. She was just kind of like out on the town,
Oh yeah, she was like
finding random dudes.
cougar kind of like
Yeah.
hunting all the guys.
Yes, cougars do hunt.
Yeah, even though she was married, which is revealed later,
Yeah,
but it's cool.
but and the lady in Force Majeure was also married, and she wasn't the same type of character. But
She wasn't as like
no, it
flamboyant.
was just a lady that she was on the ski lift with, right? No. They did have
They met
lunch
in the
with her.
lobby.
Yeah, they met.
She didn't work for the hotel, but they met in the lobby.
Yeah.
But she wasn't as flamboyant or whatever.
Right.
So I like that character in Downhill better. She was more fun.
Yeah. The other one was just very matter of fact.
But yeah, she was just like, oh, I'm after these guys and I'm gonna cheat on my husband. But it's cool because he does too. And I guess not cheating. I guess it's what you would call
it's
an open marriage.
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Open marriage.
Yeah. So, but also another big difference. There were actually a couple for as much as these movies lined up, there were actually a couple of big differences that they added into Downhill.
Mm-hmm.
One being that after all this goes down, and now the wife is questioning the marriage, questioning her husband. She's gone off to have her own ski day,
Right.
and
that's
and
big.
ski lodge cougar lady says, "Oh, you need to go and have a ski lesson with Sven or whatever." And so
Can't trust the Svens.
right, and so she spends the day with this ski instructor.
You mean she spends the day?
Yes, she spends the day. I don't remember what this guy's name was.
Sure. Sven.
It was not even
That sounds right.
So,
it's wrong, but it sounds
it's
right.
super wrong. But anyway, so she ends up entangled with this guy, sort of, and like has a moment, and they're at this little, I don't know where they were, a little lodge, and he's massaging her feet, and then
it seemed like I don't know what it was.
He
It was a
kissed her,
classic,
right?
but it
Or
was
no?
a classic 1930s, like when you watch those old cartoons, like the Goofy goes skiing or those type of things, and then he's just like in a lodge with the fanny flap. You know what I'm talking about.
I do, yeah, but there was no fanny flap.
No, I'm just saying, like in those cartoons, there was always like a lodge somewhere halfway up the mountain.
Yeah.
And then the piece of coal, he would put it in his long johns to keep him
Right.
warm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this was like a pit stop place, and
It was a racetrack.
so
You wanted to get a 99-cent 44-ounce drink.
Yeah. So anyway, so she's with this ski instructor guy, and he's trying to put the moves on her, and he's like, "Tell me who you are," blah blah blah. And she's like, "What are you talking about? I'm a mom, I'm a wife." Da, da, da. And then he's trying to put the moves on her, and I think they kiss, right? Like they make out for a second.
Yeah, because she says they make out for a second, and she said, "I could screw you through this wall" or something like that.
Right.
or
She's
some
like,
sort.
basically, I could sleep with you right now, but I know I'm not that person.
She's just kind of that.
Yeah.
Just a taste.
So-
Just a taste of that
She
person.
did want to hang on to her marriage, or she at least didn't want to cheat
Throw it away.
while she was still married.
Right.
So that was not in the original movie, and it's an interesting thing to just throw in, I guess. I mean,
I think, yeah, it seems like that was in there possibly because she wanted to, I think she just wanted to see what the other side was, maybe, but not really see. It didn't seem weird.
she was getting attention. Her husband's been kind of distracted
Right.
and on his phone, and there's this dude paying attention to her.
Right.
So I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting little thing to throw in there. And then another big scene that didn't happen.
When she tried to Cheerio herself.
No, I forgot about that one. No, I was going to say
She fell out of the bathroom stall.
that was pretty funny.
That was the funniest part.
Yeah, that was funny. But then the helicopter scene. So after Will Smith has abandoned his
Will
family.
Smith?
I mean,
He's like, were we back to Bad
We're
Boys?
back to Bad Boys.
You're like, more helicopters. Bad Boys.
Yeah, Bad Boys. Will Ferrell's character,
Yeah.
forgot his name, Pete, right?
Sure.
Husband Pete.
You know me, I don't know names
I
to
know.
characters.
So husband Pete, he's abandoned. Everybody's mad at him. The boys are like, "What's your deal?" So he's trying to make it up, I guess, and he has this grand gesture, and he's like, "Guys, I have this huge surprise for you. Hurry, hurry, hurry!" The whole morning he's been rushing his family, like, "Get out!
Yeah, nobody ate
Get in the
breakfast.
car." Nobody ate breakfast. Then they get there. Kid can't find his glove. They're talking about skiing, and then they realize they're standing in front of a helicopter. So the lady's like, "You're late. Get on the helicopter." The mom's trying to get the kids out of the car. Skis
Right.
are flying everywhere.
And she's still angry about.
She's super mad.
3 days ago.
Right. The kid's hungry. One of the kids loses his glove. Just all this. There's just too much going on. And then the
Yeah.
lady's screaming, and then Will Ferrell's screaming.
Oh
like,
no. Well, the funny thing is like the back and forth that they had, where he's like, she's like, the kids haven't eaten. And he goes, is there food on the thing?
Do you
She's
have a
like,
bar? Maybe
"Do
they
you
have a bar."
She's like, I don't know. She's like, get
on
on the
the
helicopter.
helicopter.
We're like running out of light and time. And then he's like, oh, she's like, oh, the glove. But he doesn't have a glove. He's like, I'm sure they have gloves on the helicopter.
have extra
Do you have a
gloves?
glove on the helicopter? And she's like, I don't know. And then he tries to yell to the helicopter pilot, like, do you have a glove on the helicopter? And
Everyone's
the
like,
guy's just looking at him. He's
get
like,
on the
we're running out of
helicopter.
time.
He was trying to take him heli-skiing or whatever it's called.
Heli-ski.
I think that's what it's called. Heli-skiing.
Just reminds me of Rad. Hell Track.
So anyway, it was just a really funny scene.
We got to watch Rad.
I guess they just threw that in there to just amp up the
Yeah, the
animosity
frustration.
and the frustration
Yeah.
and give it this massive breaking point.
Right.
So then eventually, and he's like,
And-
I spent $3,000 on this.
Right. And they were supposed to go to like this really tough, like, I've
Ski
never
hill,
skied before.
mountain, black double
Yeah.
diamonds, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bears and
Yeah. Blood diamond,
yeah,
red.
We don't know.
But yeah, then then the helicopter goes off, and then Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character looks down and then sees the glove is just sitting
Right there
by the
next
car,
to the tire.
and then just pulls it from under the tire.
It was just
And then they just go home,
Yeah.
or not go home, but they go back to the room.
like, let's just call it a day.
But yeah, you could see. I think the big thing also is the kids lost confidence in him, like in Downhill. The kids were like, even though the kids seemed to not really care about what their parents' relationship status was, and they were both mad at their dad. Where in Force Majeure, they were very concerned about their dad's feelings. Their dad was super emotional and crying.
They were really worried that the parents were going to break
Yeah,
up.
they
That
were-
was their big concern.
Right. They were worried about the breakup, and they were concerned about their dad once he started like breaking down, which I don't think those kids would even really noticed if Will Ferrell's character had that, because they were on their iPads. Because remember, he
Well,
tried to
that,
take
and
them.
they were just super angry.
Right. He tried to take them on his father son's thing, and then the kids were just like, "Can we just go home and get on our iPads?"
Right. They were just
So.
super annoyed with him.
Yeah.
They were like, whatever, Dad.
Whatever, Dad.
Whatever, man.
2 years early. They had 2 more years to be sick of their dad.
So, since we watched these backwards, we watched the new one first and then the old one. There was a scene coming up the mountain. There's this people in a bus, and then I see dude with giant red beard, and immediately thought, I know that face. And I did, because the guy, the best friend character in Force Majeure, plays this ski lodge mountain security safety guy in Downhill. So the character doesn't even have a name in Downhill. Like on IMDb, it just says the actor's name that I can't pronounce. It's Christoph something Swedish.
Hard to pronounce
Right.
for Americans.
Yeah, so I think that was interesting. I wonder if there's any other characters that were in there we just
Yeah.
didn't notice. But he played like the safety mountain guy,
Yeah.
which that's another scene that they added in, which I feel like is a very American scene.
Very.
So
It's very American.
there's a very Karen, can I speak to your manager
Right.
moment where Julia Louis-Dreyfus is like, this is wrong. They should have warned us about these avalanches. I need to speak to somebody. And so they send her off to the security hut. And then there's our buddy from...
They had to like take a SUV over there or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a trek to get over to this little office. And then they sit there. And that was a fun scene too, because they're just like sitting and waiting. And these guys are just walking around drinking coffee and like grunting and like not even really speaking to them. And they're like, what do you want? So she's like yelling at them. Nobody warned us. He's like, there's signs everywhere, all over the ski lodge talking about this. Well, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to make this a legal thing. And he said, look, lady, you're not in America where you can sue people because your coffee's too hot.
Take that, McDonald's
That was
lady
great.
that
Yeah.
singed your legs.
So I thought it was a great scene. It was random, but felt very much like what an American might do over there.
American in Paris. Yeah. That seems pretty good.
And
Yeah,
the
that's totally
husband-
what Americans would do.
And the husband also failed to support her in this moment because he was like, okay, you said what you wanted to say. Let's go.
Right. And also, he it seems like he seemed to have actually read those
Oh, that's
messages,
right.
but forgot
He was a doofus.
that he did, and he didn't alert anybody, or in some sort of way know that that was possibly going to happen. Even though as close as it was coming, I still would have got up and left.
So
but-
both husbands were fairly selfish people.
right,
And in Force Majeure, he seems to eventually own it. And he
Right.
has a massive breakdown,
right,
crying and sobbing in the hallway. The wife is like to the point of embarrassment. Like, please stop. Like,
that was
please
so funny. It's just
get
like,
it together.
and
Please stop.
it's like an embassy suites type situation, so everyone can hear everything in the
Yeah.
hallway,
Yeah,
and all the rooms are facing the same way.
right.
So yeah, it was just like he's sobbing in it, actually in his boxer briefs.
In his underwear in the hallway.
Yeah.
It's just sobbing.
Yeah.
And then goes into the room and she's like, please calm down. Please breathe. She is not. That was a great thing because she was like, I'm not getting wrapped up into this. I'm not
Right.
getting pulled into this. Just get it together,
Right.
man. You're going to wake up our kids. Like, calm down. He doesn't calm down, obviously. The kids are all awake anyway because they're all worried. And then they all are just in the floor in a big bundle of crying mess. And the kids are like, Mom, come down here with us. Cry with us. Hug us. And she was just like, oh.
Oh,
And they literally had
sympathy.
to pull her onto the floor because she was like, I
Yeah.
don't want to be involved in this. This isn't my breakdown.
right. And the easiest way to handle this would just be say I'm sorry. 4
Right.
days ago.
Right.
So the
So, moral of the story, guys and gals, if you mess up, just own it and say you're sorry. And then
That's
we
right.
don't have to go through all these days of skiing on hills by ourselves and screaming into the wilderness and all that.
and thinking that some lady thinks you're attractive and then saying, whoops, we were thinking about the wrong person. The other guy over there is the guy we were talking to. That
How
was
would
pretty
you
funny.
feel? How would you feel if that happened? So in the scene, the two guys are chilling, drinking whatever drinks on the hill.
Yeah.
And so this lady comes over and is like, "Excuse me, sir, I wanted to tell you, my friend." This is very a high school thing, right? Like, my friend over there thinks you cute. So
I think we never lived in that world. I think if you're trying to hook up with somebody, that's the way you
Okay.
could possibly try
that's
to do
true.
it.
We don't know. We haven't been single since high school.
That's right. And high school is fake single.
Right. So anyway, so this lady comes over and she's like, "Excuse me, sir, my friend over there thinks you're like the cutest guy ever." And then for like exactly 65 seconds, he's like on top of the world. And he's like, "Oh man, somebody thinks I'm hot." Then she circles back around and is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. My friend was actually pointing at that dude over there." So how would that make you feel? Like, that looked so sad. Like, he was so high and then brought back down.
I don't know. Like, I've had mainly dudes and older women try to, hit on me. So,
But they didn't come back around and be like, "Oh,
well, if they did, I would just be like, oh, okay. Like, it's. I'm not really in that. I think I'd have to be in that mental state that he's in, where I'm just kind of like, ugh, I'm sick of this marriage. Like, I got so much to offer the world, and then someone's like, yeah, you do, and they're like, wait, not you, him. So it wouldn't really bother me. Like, I think I would be more relieved because I really don't know what to do when somebody's like I told you about those older ladies, and then that one lady, that one chick at Low End Theory. And I was like, stop grinding on me. I want to punch you in the face, but you're a woman, so I can't do it. So I'm just going to sit here very angry throughout this whole,
it's a
bass
walk
show.
away moment."
Low End Theory was really packed back then.
was
So I was
hard
just
to
kind of like, what's going on? So I get very uncomfortable. That's my first. I do the opposite of what he did. I don't run. I just stand there uncomfortably while some older lady gives me a back rub while I'm trying to choose a Neil Diamond song. So I'd be happy if she was like, "Oh, not you." I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." Then I don't have to like figure out how to get out of the situation.
Well, I felt bad for this guy. Felt
Yeah.
bad for this character because he seemed like maybe that brightened his day a little. And then it was like, "Oh, no, wait, you are still a dirtbag."
That's right.
So
Teenage dirtbag. So in conclusion,
are we concluding?
yeah, we're trying to keep them not always short, but definitely since this movie was not cream of the crop, it's like, why do an hour and a half on it?
Wait, let me check my
That's the
notes.
length
Let me
of the
see if I had
movie.
anything else to say.
You got conclusions to say?
No. Moments. I did
Precious
notice
moments?
precious
Oh, okay.
moments. There was a moment in this movie. Well, Force Majeure, he didn't do this in Downhill. I actually would have liked to see Will Ferrell stand on a mountain and scream like a maniac. But it was so great. So y'all can watch Force Majeure. It's on Hulu, which y'all should do. But it's a great scene where the husband went skiing with his buddy, and they're at the top, and his buddy's like, "Hey, let's go up and do the other side of the hill." And he goes, "I don't want to ski anymore." He's like, "Can we just talk?" And then he just proceeds to like plop down into the snow. And then his buddy's like, "Hey, I think what we need to do is you need to scream. There's something in your body and it needs to get out." And I was like, "Hey, this is the second time, the second movie, Honey Boy."
Yep.
Remember? So they were like, "Just go into the woods and scream." And that just sounds so amazing sometimes, doesn't it? That's
Yeah.
all.
I like to go into the woods and fart. Just let it all out.
Did you fart at all on your hike today? Did you fart all your way up the hill? Up the mountain?
A little bit. But no, not. I wasn't using that as propellant or anything like that.
Okay.
It wasn't the way you asked. Is like, did you fart up the hill? It's like,
Oh, we didn't talk about the bus.
well, yeah, that's well, we're concluding. That's what the conclusion is. So
All
we're gonna
right.
talk about the end, and we're gonna conclude.
All right, I'm a mess.
Yeah, you're sick. You're a mess.
I'm a mess. Can you all hear
Your
it? I've
stomach's-
got a sinus infection that
Yeah,
I'm
your stomach's full of mucus.
contending with. Ew.
You got a mucus
Don't
belly.
tell everyone that.
You got mucus belly.
No, I don't have
Everyone
mucus
knows
belly.
what happens when
I have
you have
mucus
sinus.
in my head.
Ew, you got a mucus head.
I got mucus head.
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Concluding.
Conclusion.
So the end of the movie, the difference is, downhill. Let's do Force Majeure first. So they're leaving, and they're leaving actually with their couple friend. So that was the big difference between the two movies. In Downhill, he invites the friends. He invites his coworker, actually, who is a friend, and his coworker's girlfriend to come to the ski resort to hang out. The whole time, also lying to his wife about them coming. He's like, "Oh, they're far away. They're not coming." She's like, "They're not coming, right?" He's like, "No, no, no." And he's like, "Oh,
Whoa.
that was big." I hit my laptop. So he's like, "No, no, no. They just came on their own." And then the guy goes, "Oh yeah, when you invited us over." So then she's even more mad. So those people are essentially the same characters in Force Majeure who leave with them on a bus down this windy, goat-like, trail down, I guess, to the bottom of the mountain.
I would have
So
needed
just-
a tranquilizer to ride in that bus.
Yeah, it looked pretty scary. So, the only thing that's stopping the bus while it's zigzagging down this mountain, and it's not like circular zigzags, it's literally zigzags down a mountain, is probably some 1913 or 1800s
Tiny little
cemented
stone
stone wall. So then the guy's driving and he's like, and he's like backing up, going forward, and he can't drive, and everybody's like, "Oh, what's going on?" So he finally gets stuck in a spot, and then he tries to back up and like grinds the gears. And if you've ever driven any vehicle, if you've driven a car and you've grinded the gears,
Any vehicle.
yeah, if you have a stick, if you ever done stick, that's not that big of a deal. But if, like, my stepdad used to drive 18-wheelers, if you have someone driving an 18-wheeler who, like, in the simplest of things is like messing up gears really bad, and then also doesn't really know how to turn, they don't have, I'm not saying they're new, but they don't have enough experience to be going down a mountain.
This should not be on this mountain.
So the wife is like, "Let us out. We got to get out. We gotta blah, blah, blah." And so the guy tries to open up the door after like 5 minutes, a couple of minutes of ignoring her. He tries to open up the door and then runs the windshield wipers. I was like, I'm out.
I'm climbing out the
like, if you
window
don't
if
know
I have
how to
to.
open up the door, and you open up windshield wipers, I'm good. It's just like, so he finally opens up the door and she runs out, which was funny to me because she was just complaining about him kind of running off. And it's not the exact same situation, but I'm like, if you think we're in danger of dying, why are you in the front by yourself and not like, "Kids, let's go." Boo, 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 boo. So it was, to me, it was
Yeah.
kind of like a mini version of what he did.
Sorta.
I'm not saying it's as bad, but I'm just saying if you think there's an imminent threat and you're like, "I want to get off, I need to get out of here," that's kind of,
She was also the only one making sure they got off the bus.
no, she was
like
making
the-
sure she got off the
Well,
bus.
she was making sure that he stopped and let people out. Like
She was only talking about herself.
All right.
I'm just saying,
Okay.
like, her main instinct was like, because she even said, I need to get off this bus.
Yeah.
Get me off this bus.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
She wasn't saying
she
like,
didn't have the
she
kids
didn't
with
say
her
like,
by her side.
yeah, and even if the
to
kids
pull them off.
even if the kids were sitting there and she was like, you know, open this door. She's like, kids, we're going. Like,
Right.
that's what people say.
Yeah,
kids,
yeah.
we're going. Like, she just
got
ran off the bus. And
Yeah.
then the husband was like,
All right, yeah.
So I think that was
Okay, a
kind
little
of
bit,
like
yeah.
her kind of realizing a little bit
It was the
the
nod.
situation he was in. Because like we said, it's not really the act per se. That's all debatable and arguable till everyone dies. But for you just to go like, oh man, I probably should have like got the kids off first, which the friend even says.
Right.
Because everybody tries to run off the bus. And then he says, everybody stop freaking out. This is how people get trampled and killed. Let's do women and children first. And then they slowly all got off the bus, except for that one lady.
Yeah.
But
she was like, whatever.
yeah, so I think that to me that was just like a mini version
A
of what
nod
he did
to
and
what
her
he
to,
did, yeah.
and you know it's like
Tables
no
have
one's
turned
perfect,
a little bit.
and I think she kind of realized that a little bit, and then downhill, oof, that ending was
The ending was weird. I didn't understand.
It was kind of
really.
It was weak.
It was a weak ending.
I never saw Office and a Gentleman. Office and
a Gentleman?
Oh, I want to see that. Michael Scott, like the Office characters. Yeah, but Officer and a Gentleman. But I know that he carries her out of someplace. And that's essentially the ending kind of downhill. She fakes like she's stuck in a really hard
well, she does
slope.
that in both movies.
Yeah, but this one, the kids weren't as, you know.
Okay, so explain what happened.
So in Force Majeure, she does that before the whole bus scene happens, but she does it as a way to like make the kids feel.
But does what?
She acts like she's stuck up the hill, and needs his help as a way to, you know, I guess make him feel like a man or not. Yeah, I think in that one to make him feel like a man and let the kids feel like their dad is a man, because I think the dad in that movie was totally oblivious that she was faking that she couldn't do this, because after he carries her down, she goes, oh, I forgot my skis, and walks right back up.
Right. In
downhill, she confronts him.
He runs back up the hill. She's screaming, help, 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 help. So he runs back up the hill to rescue her. He leaves the kids at the bottom and is like, stay here, kids. I'm going to go get your mom. He gets up there, and then she's sitting in the snow, and she's like, I am doing this for your sons so that they can look at you. And he was like, oh, okay. So then he carries her back down the hill.
Right. And yeah, so then
he can look like a hero.
So then, like, yeah, he seems like a hero to the kids. And I don't even know if the kids believed it the way they smiled. I don't know. But yeah, and then the same thing happens. She goes, oh, I got to get my skis. And then they just leave, right?
No, well, yeah. So, yeah, Will Ferrell, he climbs back up and gets her skis, blah, blah. They go back to the hotel. And then the ending
she makes
was...
him get the skis.
Yeah, so the actual ending was they were standing outside, and they were getting into the vans to leave, and then the snow falls off the roof, and they all jump away from the snow.
Oh, right. The four of them.
Yeah, the four of them all jump
Zach's
away.
character, the girl, and the main couple.
And then they look at each other, and there's some look that I think was supposed to communicate something, but I didn't really understand.
I think it was the same thing as the bus. Like, it was a horrible version of the bus, where it was like, oh, don't you see, like, he had to make a quick decision, and you just made a quick decision, and that's kind of how.
Yeah, I guess
you should understand why he did the thing he did.
The way they looked at each other, though, I was thinking like she was thinking you were supposed to do something different. Like, was he supposed to protect her from the snow falling from the roof, or I didn't really understand what we were supposed to infer from that ending of Downhill.
It was the spinning top and
what Inception. Did it mean to you?
The falling snow was
Let
the spinning
us know.
top. Yeah, so
do you think they stayed together after their ski trip?
I think, obviously rewatching, like, I was cool with Downhill when we watched it, but then rewatching Force Majeure, I was like, oh, it went from like a 60 to a 40 to me.
But as separate movies. Because they were for as much as they were alike, they were very different movies.
They were different movies, but I think the way that they did that, I think something like that can't be almost devoid of emotion. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, when you go through something like that, there's a ton of emotion. What that dude was crying on the floor and was having all of his weird fits. you could see he was really wrestling with his emotions.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a thing, a thing about generation and whatever of Americans. Like Will Ferrell's 50 something years old, so playing that character, maybe he wouldn't cry. Maybe he would just deny because he doesn't want to deal with his feelings. But maybe, European people, men are more emotional, so they're willing to like cry and break down as they're struggling with this idea instead of denying. So I don't really know. I don't like I kick it with some European people, but I don't know like the culture that deep. But yeah, it just needed more layers. And I think they stripped away the layers and kind of did what you would do in America, which we kind of were saying about some of the things in Parasite, like, oh, the wife's this way, that, she's always nagging, blah, blah, blah. And this,
Well,
the
America
husband's
didn't really
aloof.
like this movie either. Like, it doesn't have good.
No.
And it
doesn't.
actually has better tomatoes than popcorn audience reviews. So critics actually like this movie like 20% more than
Interesting.
audience. But I liked it. I like Downhill.
Yeah.
I liked them both. They're the same but different. So I liked them.
Yeah, it was fine. It was like, I think everybody did a good job. It was just,
We chose another
it's
bad relationship movie to watch on Valentine's Day.
It's just like, to me, it's just like if it wasn't an adaptation, it probably would have been fine. Like I think when we watch movies by, what's her name, who does movies like as much as Kevin Hart does, and she was on Gilmore Girls.
Oh, Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah. So when we watch Melissa McCarthy movies, we kind of know what we're getting into, and they're almost like separate entities. So we're not really comparing them to anything, or an Adam Sandler film is just an Adam Sandler film. We're not comparing it to anything. But if Adam Sandler remade like a dramatic comedy film, but in like an Adam Sandler way, that would kind of make it a little bit tougher.
But this wasn't even like a quote unquote Will Ferrell version of the movie.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying
Which I
it's
think
a
is
Will Ferrell
why...
movie, but I'm just saying, like, it was kind of wanting to be jokeified version of that one. And I think that's kind of hard to do when
I feel like when you put somebody like Will Ferrell in a movie, which is kind of a, bummer. It's kind of like Jim Carrey. Like it takes a while for people to see him other than like The Mask and Ace Ventura, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like Will Ferrell kind of has that, I think, that audience expectation going in, and he wasn't like full Will Ferrell in this movie. So maybe that kind of hurt it a little bit.
I didn't feel that way.
Oh, okay. I didn't, but
I was totally fine with Will Ferrell not being quote unquote Will Ferrell. I feel like Will Ferrell should pull an Adam Sandler and do an Uncut Gems or Punch Drunk Love or something like that.
He does. I think there's some indie movie where he is some not like Will Ferrell-y.
Yeah.
movie.
So yeah, that wasn't it. I think it was just like the way that they designed it. The way it was all designed, it was just a little bit, it just didn't work as well with me.
I liked it.
So if you
But
like
Julia
Downhill,
Louis-Dreyfus-
do not watch Force Majeure.
No, just know that they're
but
different
tell us,
movies.
let us know what
Watch
you
them
think.
both, and it's interesting to see how many of the scenes actually line up.
Yeah. But if you end up in the result I did, then you will.
Yeah.
You won't
Watch them years apart.
Yeah, I guess
Don't
so.
watch them back to back like we did. But I like both movies. I think Julia Louis-Dreyfus carried Downhill. She was that movie. I enjoyed it a lot. And then Force Majeure is just, it's got it's slow, but it's got all the layers to it and all the really digging into picking apart like something that happened. Like
It's a swamp cake.
It's a swamp cake. Nobody knows
That's what I
that
call
means.
Tres Leches and all these other cakes that feel like
All
they
the
have water in them.
Yeah.
Swamp
Anything.
cakes.
Okay, so I did look up Force Majeure, right?
Okay.
We looked this up, and it means, it has like a couple different definitions, but I wrote down inescapable force, right? Because so at first I thought like Force Majeure, I thought that was like in reference to the avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized,
Ooh, more layers.
it's the inescapable force of how they reacted, right? So it was his instinct to run that was inescapable. He didn't even consider his family. That was just his innate response.
Gotcha.
So that was his, and hers was to protect the family. So it was just like their instincts.
Instinctually.
And it was the mountains' instinct to make all the snow fall when they have all these big
What?
bangs.
That's too far. That's too far.
So anyway, so that was, anyway. I don't think the title has anything to do with the avalanche. It has to do with what the people's instincts are.
The people's avalanching. So, with all of that, the question I want to ask you is, can you run in ski boots?
I think so. It depends on what you consider running.
Yeah, because you can run in skates. You can
Just
even
not
run in
very
roller
well.
skates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can run in ski boots.
That's all I wanted to know this whole time. Can you run in ski boots? Boots.
We say yes.
Ski boots.
Ski boots.
Yeah,
We
it's a
say
common theme
yes.
in both movies. Can you run in ski boots? Any last words before we sentence you this episode to death?
Yeah. We didn't have to go dark.
That wasn't dark. Well, when it dies, it goes dark.
No, that's all I got.
That's all you got?
I liked it. Had fun. Go see both movies.
Yeah. Guys, tell us what you think. We're just talking into the ether right now, but hit us up.
We want to hear from you.
Hey, we just saw a movie podcast at gmail.com, or follow us on Twitter at Hey, we just saw a movie, or follow us.
Instagram.
Did I say Twitter? No.
said Twitter.
Twitter is just saw a movie. I got to remember that. Instagram is Hey, we just saw a movie. Leave a comment. We're posting up little recasts of our other episodes. So if you're kind of like, what was this one like? I would like to listen to a 30-second clip. I'm putting it on Instagram. So yeah, just leave a comment. Be like, I thought it was dope. It was the best movie ever. Josh, you're stupid. Michelle, you're the smartest ever.
Yay.
Leave that comment, and that's cool. Oh, also, I keep forgetting that we need to plug reviews on Apple Podcast. So
Yes, give us those 5 stars.
give us the 5 stars. Leave your thoughts and tell us what you think. If you don't like it, leave 5 stars and then in the comments say 1 star. So we can kind of move up and get some more. We appreciate all of the people that are listening right now, but we would definitely love to have more people listening and chiming in and have a dialogue with people outside of the podcast.
Check us out on Patreon.
Yep, Patreon. Hey, we just saw a movie. But all this stuff you can find through heywejustsawmovie.com, which is working now, and that will get you to everything. We thank you. We love you. Doggone it.
Good night.
Good night.
Or good morning or good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this.
Right.
All right. Till the next time.
Peace,
Bye.
Reese's.